Good evening, everyone. It's Sunday night around, I think 6:30, somewhere's around there. And what a great day, huh? I'll turn the camera around so you can see some lovely sights. Look at that blue sky. Look at that puffy clouds. I don't know if you live in New England or Connecticut, but boy, is it a gorgeous day today. Unbelievable. So I was thinking about today's talk. Oh, here comes some jet skis. They're gonna probably drown me out unless they slow down, but you never know. So I decided I'm gonna pull a card, and the card I pulled was foundations, building a strong foundation for yourself, which actually is a great concept. Certainly something that you can help teach people, like children, that when you're solid with who you are and your self-esteem is intact and your ability to, hey Janet, caught ya, huh? You can really go places. Like nothing, there's nothing you feel like you can't do when you have a strong foundation, because that gives you the ability to make decisions for yourself that are in your best interest. You kind of know where you stand, so to speak, metaphorically and probably physically. And if you don't have it, what happens? Well, just like a building, or our body and our being and our who we are is just like a building, right? You got to build it on a solid foundation. If you don't, anything up top can crumble. And it's the same with people. Something comes your way. Thanks, honey. And you know what? All of a sudden you realize you're toppled over. It's taken you by storm. It's throwing you off kilter. And everybody goes through this in life. You have to learn how to weather that event. You have to learn how to get past whatever it is that happens. And the other thing, as Brenda and I were talking about the other day, was when you don't have a fear of death anymore, there's not much that can shake that foundation. There's not much that can put you in a place where you don't feel some sense of comfort about, your life, your being, who you are, where you are in life, and that kind of thing. And I think that's something that if you, and especially in our culture, our United States anyway, for the most part, and maybe some other cultures as well, but a lot of people never want to talk about death, never want to talk about dying, never want to talk about what happens with grief and when somebody you love does, pass. And I'm sure you all have gone through this already. It can be very devastating, of course. And there's always the regrets and the what ifs and should I have and, could I have? Should we even have thought about that? That kind of thing. But also when you don't fear it for yourself personally, it gives you a lot of personal freedom. Hey, Marianne. And I think that's one of the things that people in this country anyways, or a lot of people don't seem to be able to get past even talking about it. Like it's pushed under the rug, and it's, 100 years ago, it wasn't like that. It's become like that in the past 100 years here. And again, that's another thing that similar to what I talked about yesterday. Hey, Peggy, is, it's knowing history. Like if you know history, then you realize that it isn't always what you think it is right now. A lot of things aren't. And when you know history, then you have a better grasp of future and present. And so then actually knowing history can help you build your foundation as well, right? So you're looking at life as a much bigger picture. If you understand history, you understand that, 100 years ago, people were laid out in their living rooms, in their parlors, places in the home, was very commonplace. And I don't know a lot about it, and I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about it, but I know that was real. So, and I'm no expert. I'm sure there's plenty of people that know a lot more about that. And, it's just, when did we get to a place where death is scary and death is so, I don't know, what's the right word? People think it's morbid, or it's, I guess that really the biggest thing is there's a lot of fear around it. So with knowing that in American culture, and of course, there's a lot that's changed over the years. And quite a number of years ago, I think in the 70s, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote, hey Wesley, a book on death and dying. And she really talked about the stages of grief and all those kinds of things. I think once you understand just some of those real basic things, but then also that, and depending on what your religion is, we live again. This isn't our only go-round. And we could be an old soul already. We could be a new soul. And I think when that fear is gone, then you can have a foundation of your own being that you feel really comfortable in. Because all the stuff that came before you were you on this planet at this time, during this era, let's say, of life, came with you. It's in your subconscious. And that's been proven. So that's a piece that you can work with, tapping into that. Meditation helps a lot with that. And of course, there's people who do, specialty work around those kinds of things, if you believe in that. And what's nice about it, though, is that there's an understanding that, there's more to it than what we see right here, right now, so that you can actually build on that foundation from strength rather than an unknowing and a fearful thought process. So having the strength really gives you the ability to then, make those choices for your life that you feel are really comfortable for you. And everybody's choices are different, I don't think there's a lot of wrong choices. I know I talked about the 50-50 the other day, but I think the longer you live, you're getting closer to 60-40 and 70-30 of good choices versus maybe not so good choices, But all choices in the long run are good because they all have something that you learn from it that maybe you don't want to do it again, or maybe you want to do it differently. There's a portion of it you want to do differently. Those are all things that, hi Gail, I had to say hello to a few people, Deb, Justine. So I think it's really important that people understand, their own history, and that they can build a solid foundation, just like building a solid foundation with a building. You can go pretty high then, the sky's the limit, as they say, right? So I think that's important, and a lot of people, it's certainly not taught in school. It's something you kind of can get to if you have a willingness to do recovery work or read a lot or do some spiritual soul searching, those kinds of things. And I think that's what's important, is that you're willing to learn more, to open your mind, expand your thought process, and look at where do you want to go next? What do you want to do? There's an opportunity for big changes right now in the world, and you can reinvent yourself. You can do something really cool. Why not? Or maybe you can tweak what you are doing with some new ideas and something new that's going to shift and change. I was listening to a speaker this morning, and this COVID really did a number on her business, and because she's in the travel industry, so you can imagine just what that does. It's terrible. And it's affected so many people in so many ways and so many levels, not just financially, but, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. I mean, it has for me. My business is gone right now. I mean, I'm hoping that people will show up at the next event that I put on in July, and will they? Time will tell. There's no way of me knowing that ahead of time. I would think that people who are into health and wellness and know that there's more to this COVID than, the media reports, that will understand that, there are lots of other options, and perhaps they'll be curious about those options and see what's available. But you still want to be happy, healthy, joyous, and free. So, that's a good reason to come to, the Passport to Health and Wellness Expo, or a holistic event, or that kind of thing. And there's another one the Red Barn's going to have in June. I'll be there. I want to say June 28th, something like that. You can double check the Red Barn in Durham, their calendar. So I think, as people start to come out and do their different things, so I may have to reinvent what I do to some degree as well. I've been looking at some other options. Obviously, I have done some stuff online and Zoom and all that. But, I kind of am a people person, so that's the part that's rough, and I just, that's the part that's rough. I guess that's where I'm going to leave that. So, but that didn't change who I am internally. I still am who I am. And internally, I am a strong person. I really feel like I always had felt like it was a gift from God. I don't think it's me. I think it's what the higher power does for me. And the higher power can do that for you too. A lot of it does come from belief. For some reason, even when I was younger, I always believed that God wouldn't give me more than I could handle. I had no idea it was going to be this much. And certainly, I'm glad I didn't know ahead of time, because who knows what I would have done. But you know what? Life is only lived one day at a time, Actually, 1 minute at a time, right? So there is no normal. I always say normal is a setting on the washing machine, which is really what it really is. And I think people keep saying, well, if we go back to what was normal, well, I don't really want to do all of that, going back to everything that was normal back then, 3 months ago. So I think it just changes, and as you build your foundation, you build who you are, you become more secure in what you want to do and how you want to move forward. So just some thoughts for today. Like I said, I pulled that card and I thought, interesting. You don't want to be building on a crumbling foundation. And the other thing that comes to mind as I'm thinking about it right now is that, you can always make new choices. If there's something that isn't working for you anymore, pitch it. You don't need it anymore, get rid of it. Just move on and find something else that does work. You can always make that choice. So there's a lot of options in the planet, right? And if you're not sure what you want to do, meditate about it. Keep meditating till you get something that feels right, internally feels right. And it doesn't matter if the rest of the world thinks you're crazy, just do it anyways. And, every great idea has always been called crazy when it was first presented. And that's a known history thing. So you can be crazy as a loon and have something really fantastic that eventually becomes, that's normal now. So, and that happens a lot. It's accepted as kind of a fact. I mean, at one time, they said the world was flat, right? And you'd go off the edge if you went too far. Well, guess what? That wasn't true. And the guy who originally said that wasn't true was told he was crazy, Come to find out, now it's an accepted fact that the world is not flat. We live on a round planet. I mean, they didn't know that then, right? So they were guessing, just like they're guessing about a lot of other things on the planet here, right, nowadays too. So as we keep moving forward, we keep getting new information, we keep making changes, we keep making choices, and And building that strong foundation comes from knowing yourself well enough to be able to do that for yourself. And I think that's a super important piece of this. So, hey Sue, hey Dawn, hey Janice, hey Donna. So I think that's important. Alrighty, I've got a beautiful, beautiful sun coming up here. Oh, you guys can just see that for a moment. And just a fantastic day today. Another fantastic day here in Connecticut. So we're so lucky. You know, nature tells us that everything's fine. You know, everything is fine. So how great when you want to kind of remember that. And I told you before, that acronym for fear, forgetting everything's all right. And I think it's easy to do that sometimes. Don't watch too much TV. That's key number one. Oh, my flag is crooked. I'm going to fix it. Here we go. Got a little breeze going on here. Hey, Bob. So I just think it's nice when you can have a firm foundation, you can build on that, you can make the changes you want to make in your life, you can choose different paths depending on where you are in your life. You always have another choice, and you can always choose a different path. And when new choices come your way, grab them and go. You know, you got nothing to lose, and there's always information that comes out of every choice you make. And most of it's going to be good, and it's a reason it came your way. So try not to doubt it too much. Kind of go with it, and stay firm with who you are so that you can do what you're supposed to do. We all have a path on this journey. So signing off for now. With the sun is always shining, and it certainly is right now today. What a wonderful, wonderful day, weather-wise and everything else. So I'll see you guys tomorrow sometime. Don't know when, but you'll catch me on the fly. Love you all. Have a great night. Bye for now.